So welcome everybody. Thanks so much for joining either in person or I guess virtually with us today live or watching the playback. Glad you're here. Our agenda for today will basically be a quick introduction to your coach success team. That's going to be myself, Jim, and Andrew. We'll do a couple of announcements, call out some opportunities for engagement. And then we'll go through coach best practices, kind of focusing mostly on onboarding, using the different tools in session, and some additional tips and ways to use your account to really support your clients best between sessions. And then we'll dig into some new features, some things that have launched recently, both tools that your clients have actively now, as well as a couple of beta features that have just released to our beta user group. So some exciting stuff there. And then we'll end up with Q&A at the end. So feel free to throw questions, issues into the chat. Andrew will be collecting those and putting them on our issues list. And in terms of introduction, I'm Michelle. I'm the integrator of our team. We primarily support all of our coaches, partnerships, communities. So I'll be probably your primary contact for most coach support, getting ready for sessions, making sure you know how to use all the tools, onboarding your clients, all that good stuff. And Jim?
And I'm Jim. I'm the visionary of the team. And one of the things I've got going on right now, I've got a rock within our team to come up with our roadmap for all the things we're going to add to the software to help people with their coaching practices and with how they're using the software. So if you've got thoughts and questions, I'm the guy to talk to right now around how we can better use it. And Michelle, I'll represent the coaches I've been talking to about how they're using the things that you're going to show today in session already. Some great stuff today to share there. How about you, Andrew?
Hi, everybody. My name is Andrew. I'm our team's community analyst. I help look at our coaching communities and communities elsewhere, look at the data and make sure that we are making the best moves to help support you.
Awesome.
All right.
Next up, we've got a couple of announcements, just kind of ongoing opportunities for engagement. The first one is the integrator community. That happens monthly. It's something that 90 supports. Andrew is kind of leading the charge there. So Andrew, if you want to share a little bit more about opportunities for coaches to get involved.
Yeah, the integrator community is a great way for coaches to get involved with largely self-implementing organizations. They look to get integrators together, solve issues that integrators regularly face. But in terms of coach assistance, it's a great way to get in front of their faces and be able to just say, hey, I'm here to help. And we've often seen a lot of warm leads coming from it. So it's a great way to get involved and a great way to potentially earn a couple new clients.
Yeah, I know. I picked up a bunch of self-implementers this year. I think as people start to get deeper and deeper into the implementation and implementing deeper into their organization, you know, even the self-implementers go, hey, I just want a little bit more out of this. I know I'm missing some things, and it's been great. You know, that they're not you know, taking them through the initial parts of it, but that, you know, it's still, they're great clients. And actually, you know, two of my annuals this year were brand new clients, just really needed to, you know, take that next step and get a little bit stronger. And it's been and integrated community has been a great way to kind of meet some of those folks.
Wonderful. And part of the integrator community also provides an ongoing Slack channel, which is just a nice, you know, continuous support. You can always throw issues in there. A nice resource for integrators who maybe aren't looking for a place to show up every month, but for networking kind of behind the scenes. So lots of opportunity there. We'll include a little bit of information in the follow-up email today.
How many integrators are on the community? There's a lot.
Over 1,100.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So lots of folks that could need help there. Appreciate it.
And then this one is an awesome opportunity. We are very new to it, so just kind of opening it up as kind of working through the process and developing the program, but we would love to help co-sponsor any events that you might be attending, workshops, trade shows, anything where you would like to bring 90 with you to the events. So let us know, reach out if you've got anything coming up or if you're hosting something on your own. we are putting together a program. So reach out if you've got any ideas there. And we're kind of going to be tapping shoulders too if we've got events that come our way and coaches who are on the ground in that regional area that might be a good fit to represent 90.
And we've had all those this last year, I know, Michelle, and of course we've always helped people with collateral and things if they were doing an event. This is that next step up. So we're actually, have a budget for investing in coach-driven activities. That includes, it doesn't like that includes trade shows. We're really looking for things, not for you to start up your own thing, but to join and go find places where target market people already are. We made a decision this year to not spin up our own community someplace, but because there's so many communities that need support all around us. That's why we're supporting the integrator community. We've got things going on with EO. All these great, rich target market environments where we're going to need support. We're going to need coaches on the ground who can go be our eyes, ears, and shaking hands. Rather than send some of us out there. We've already had a number of instances this year where we've said, let's find a coach over there that can go do that. COVID, of course, gets in the way of some of that stuff, right, Michelle? But we'll sure enough be looking for your support in that regard too.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so moving into some of our slides here. This is one of the things I wanted to call out too. I've added some slides and some different aspects to the meeting on the left-hand side, completely edited the agenda, which we'll get into a little bit here. Sorry, I've got not the best internet. But I'll kind of touch on that here in a second, but you can see that all of the slides are embedded into the meeting. But to start at the top of the list, we've got client onboarding best practices. So I'm actually going to run a quick poll just to get a better sense for how you guys are introducing your clients to 90, what stage you're doing that at. So I'll go ahead and launch that. Take a second to just answer the question. Let us know. Are you introducing 90 or software at the 90-minute meeting stage early on when you're just having those fit meetings? Are you doing it more at the focus day around their first kickoff session? Or potentially after the focus day, or do you wait until the quarterly? So just kind of trying to get a sense for where you're at there. So let us know. Take a few minutes, take your time to answer that. And I'll kind of talk through some of the best practices that we see. So there's kind of two avenues that you can go through. The first one being a simple introduction to our client success team. I wanted to call this out because we do have a new process for onboarding if you do want to make just a warm introduction to our team. So rather than sending them to me or Andrew or Michael or an individual, we want you to direct all of those warm leads and client introductions to the client success team as a whole. And so that's going to allow anybody, no matter who's out on vacation, who might be wrapped up in phone calls, doesn't matter. Your clients are going to get immediate support. So this is a great option for any client introductions. That can include all of your data. So after a session, if you've got whiteboard tools, handwritten notes, feel free to send that over in that introductory email, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, Michelle, this is an important point for folks that have been with us for a long time too. It's, as we keep growing, we're over 50 people now. We got people in 35 different states. We just had someone in Maine, so I checked on that. So it's important to, I know you're always willing, we would love to have you reach out to us, but it's important that, we're trying to set up some processes so we don't have anything leave hanging post-session. So Team CS at 90.io is a great resource for you. And that way, you can be picked up as fast as possible. Still, be sent to us, or if you check in the chat will be able to tell you exactly where to send that stuff, because they'll know. So you're never alone. Don't worry about Michelle and I still love you. It's really just more a matter of we want to make sure you're getting the kind of responses you need. And the chat, the folks that behind the chat, they know exactly what to go do.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's important to call out, even though you're sending them to the client success inbox, they're still going to move through the same exact onboarding process. A real member of our team with a direct email will reach out, schedule the training. So as soon as you've sent them there once, they're going to get a real person and somebody that they can directly reach out to moving forward. It's just a nice way, we know that nobody's getting lost or anything if somebody is out. And then the next option, and kind of the preferred option, this is definitely my recommendation, is actually creating the client accounts for them. So thinking about, making the warm handoff to 90 is great. They'll get wrapped up into the onboarding process and all of the training, but you'll need the client to invite you to their account, so that you can have access between sessions and support them or even run their sessions. And so by creating the client account yourself, you're kind of owning that first step, the administrative part, and ensuring that they're onboarding, that they're kicking off their trial, you're adding them in. You can add them directly into the directory, in that same motion. And then you've got access as the coach. They show up in your top left drop-down menu. And it's a bit of a more seamless experience for them too. They don't need to handle any of that setup. You really kind of take leadership of that. And when you do create the client account for them, you can add all of the leadership team to the directory so that when you meet with them at their very first meeting or you're working through the accountability chart, everything is ready to go. You've got the entire leadership team in there. You can start adding them to their seats on the accountability chart. And it's kind of a nice soft introduction to the tool for them. They get to see it with you for the first time. You're leading them through their session. So kind of no matter how much you want to lean on the software in that first session, you have the opportunity to, at minimum, go in and plug in seats on the accountability chart, which is a really nice way to kind of demonstrate the software.
Yeah, I know, Michelle, we've got a couple of people now that are actually making that part of their 90-minute meeting or fit meeting pitch is that everybody's already in and they can get to sort of see it. Because ultimately, if you can maintain visibility to them, even if they don't sign up right away, if they don't go with you right away, and start working with you, at least you'll be able to support them in the journey and they can get started. And that's still, even if they're working without you for a period of time, if you're there to support them and they're actually starting to use the tools, you can pick up and work with them later on. And I think that's the way we're increasingly seeing coaches willing to do, willing and wanting to do that, so they can actually create that connectivity on a lot more than the clients are going to pick up to be full clients.
100%. Yeah, it's a great call. And along that same note, if you do go the route of creating your client accounts, there is a best practice for how you add the leadership team and how you update your role within the account. So kind of first step is to add the leadership team, make one of your leadership team users an owner so that all of the billing notifications and receipts and trial expiration reminders, all of that gets directed to the client. And then once you've done that, you'll want to drop yourself down to the free implementer role. And that implementer role still gives you admin-like rights. So you can run meetings, edit content, build out their tools like the accountability chart and the VTO, but you're completely free because you're not part of any team. So you can't participate in a level 10 or be assigned rocks, issues, or to-dos. So kind of an important flow to add the leadership team, make them the owner, and then make yourself the implementer.
Yeah, and it's still, when you create the account, there's no cost to anyone. You got some time to go figure that out. Because I've done it the wrong way just recently. I did it the wrong way, and I flipped the switch too soon, and lost access to keep adding people and keep enhancing stuff to get the client ready. So don't get to the implementer role too fast. And of course, a lot of you are probably paying for the leadership teams. That's become a very popular way to do this. Is make the leadership team licenses part of your package, part of what you do for folks. So if you do that, then you don't have it, you can just remain owner for as long as that's going on. They start adding more people, or they move on, they graduate, then you can change the owner, and that's what flips makes it so they start getting that information. And if you get in trouble, the chat box is the way to go. They can help you out because they know that you're a coach. They know that you've got clients in the system, and they can help you if you don't remember my words of caution that I'm just giving you.
Yeah, great call. And actually, the chat also, we can see that you're a coach, like Jim said, and we do have a client success team member who primarily fields all those questions. So
Yeah.
the more you chat in there, the more you'll see Monica's name pop up. They'll be directed to her so that you'll get kind of the same person over and over again. You can build that relationship. She's wonderful.
Yeah, and she knows that she knows all the coaching stuff. And everyone on the team has always been able to help me out. So
Yeah.
it's always been terrific. But Monica's one of our treasured members of the coach team.
No doubt. Awesome. So that kind of covers the first two. And I do have a nice onboarding document that I'll include in the follow-up that kind of walks through those two processes. So if you do have any questions, that'll kind of lay that out for you. And also there's
go ahead, Michelle.
Well, I was just going to say there's really no right or wrong way. You can kind of pick and choose the method, and it may differ client to client. So just kind of wanted to call out the two primary options, I guess. But really just keep in mind that any version or combination of these two things is great. All right. And then next up is using 90 in session. So through COVID, we saw a lot of people move to virtual sessions. And then as people started going back in person, it sort of seemed like no one was really changing their process, and people were continuing to bring technology and the software into the session room, regardless of being in person or virtual. And that seems to be a continued trend for people. So I just felt like it was important to kind of call out and remind everybody the features that you have in terms of customizing the sessions. So just like when you're in person, you can really, make the session your own, and it doesn't have to be cookie cutter and by the book. You can really add and adapt to meet your client's needs. You can do that in 90 as well. So you can see I've customized the agenda for today. I've added new sections. I've added slides. They embed beautifully into the agenda itself. So there's no screen sharing and moving around and finding the screens and kind of fuddling through. It can be a much more seamless experience. For coaches that are still virtual, I've seen a lot of them add in breaks or lunch or different things as reminders, and then the team can come back and see where the clock is. Or even adding in sections that include videos for Colby training or Myers-Briggs or something if they're going through a team health exercise. So there's really like no shortage of options for customizing your agendas. And so just let us know if you've got questions on that. You can even pull in whiteboard tools. I've got a handout linked in here too. It's just pulling in from a URL. This is something that I'll share with you guys via email as well as a download, but this is just pulling in from a web browser if my internet wants to work for us.
Well, I think, Michelle, one of the things that I think I've really enjoyed is because you can create as many teams inside 90 as you'd like, it's become a great opportunity as I teach teams, as I become part of like their training of new people, or as they're cascading out, you create those new teams, and you can just customize those meetings because they can be whatever you want at that point. You've got meeting buckets in there, like you've got the L10, sure enough, but you've also got all of the foundational tool meetings that you can customize to your heart's content and make them whatever you need them to be. And it's been phenomenal for me to be able to work that way, and then be able to embed slideware into those meetings, and they're just waiting there for the next time we get together. Hey, I'm gonna do another training. Great. I just have to update those slides. They're already in there. The meeting's already built. I don't have to start from scratch. And it's all within 90, so they get to kind of they know just where it is. They can go right back to it before. They're not looking for a slide deck somewhere on the drive. It's all much easier to get to.
Yeah, that's a great call. And one of the cool parts about having the slides in 90 is that it's all editable. You're essentially just viewing through the 90 meeting tool. So if there was ever something that needed to be captured as an issue or an item, you still have like full editing capabilities to then throw anything, copy and paste into an issue. So you're not losing any momentum by adding in slides. It's really just making it for a more efficient meeting.
It happens all the time, right? If you go to the slideware on another tab, you don't have the create button right there at your disposal. And that's really oh, we got to go back over to this one to create the thing. And now we got to come back, breaks the flow for sure. So it's a much better way to do it.
Agreed. All right. And then the last best practice that I wanted to call out here is more of a highlight. This is often the coach's favorite features in 90. It's the meeting recap email. And so this is going to show up in your inbox at the end of all of your clients' leadership team level 10 meetings. So just like they get a recap at the end, showing them issues solved, to-dos created, who was absent, you're going to get a copy of that recap. And having supported several EOS implementers myself, I actually used that recap email as a way to engage with the clients. I would look for trends. Maybe the visionary was absent for the third week in a row. Maybe their sessions.
Not that that ever happened or anything, right, Michelle?
No, it's always my example. I need a new one.
Yeah.
Or their session is trending down, or you notice a new name on there. And so then you can go over to the accountability chart. Maybe there's a new leadership team member. So there's tons of data that just gets pushed right to your inbox that you can use to connect with your clients, look like this super high touch engaged coach, but really it's all showing up in your inbox. It's just a quick at a glance. And if you do have an assistant, maybe you decide what the 3-4 criteria are for when it's time to reach out. When you've seen, 5 things happen, okay, let's schedule a call.
I was just going to say, Michelle, that's definitely the best part for me is I've got somebody else looking at my inbox, checking those out every time, making sure, like, if you see any of these 4 things, you just got to get them on my schedule. We got to make sure they're okay. And or at least people know you're checking in on them and that you've got their back. And I think that's been a great part of just running a great practice.
Yeah, completely agree. All right. And then moving into some feature updates, we've had a lot of new tools and enhancements roll out in the last couple of weeks. Just for kind of FYI, we do update every 2 weeks, different iterations. So always something to be watching for. I would definitely recommend subscribing to our product updates. We can include a link to that as well in the recap email. But a couple of highlights that I wanted to share, probably most notably, is multiple users can now join a meeting. So that basically means, just like we're running a meeting right now, Jim and Andrew are actually joined in this level 10 with me, meaning they can go through, add issues, add to-dos, edit content that's already here. And rather than me having to refresh the page or move from one page to another to see that pop up, it's going to show up in real time, almost like a Google Doc or a Google Sheet where everybody's kind of collaborating in the same space, and it's going to pop right up. So even if we were to all be typing in the notes section here as an example, my notes show up, Andrew's notes would show up, etc. So really a much more collaborative experience for your clients who want everybody to really be in here and kind of managing their own stuff versus one person having to lead the meeting, facilitate, scribe, do all of that. Andrew,
Yeah, so this is, definitely, it's a great way to use the software to show another level of sophistication to your clients as everyone's trying to figure out, how to best take advantage of work from home, work from anywhere. And we just know this is never really going to go away. There's always going to be a need to figure out this out better and better. And so having more collaboration, more integration with within the team members just gives them more, more options for how to best run the meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. And another use case I could see for multiple users being in a meeting, right now it's weekly only, but once we get the quarterly one done, imagine all of your leadership team members being in the quarterly, making their rocks smart or turning long-term issues into rocks kind of simultaneously, rather than one person having to do all of that. So it's only going to get better. We're really excited about it. It is available for all users. It's no longer in beta, so feel free to test it out. We do have a really great video of Christine kind of going through in multiple screens as multiple users so that you can really see and appreciate how the features work. So I'll be sure to share that out as well.
It's a fun one.
It is. And then next one is merging issues, essentially the keep, kill, combine feature. So I'll highlight that in action for you here. We'll go down
This is my
to,
favorite.
is it?
Yeah. Well, all my clients that I showed you are like, oh my God, that is so great. Because we've all had that issue where we wanted to, oh, there's multiple issues that, and we coach this, right? That, hey, you want to be able to just keep adding issues to the issues list. If it gets long, don't worry about it. But now it's very easy to merge them so that they all end up in one thing. And it's a couple of clicks and you're there.
Yes. So just using these two as an example, it's literally as simple as right click, merge into another issue. And we'll select this one here. And so basically it's going to merge everything, description, attachments, comments, anything that existed in both issues will merge together. And now you've got both titles here as well. So it's a comprehensive merge. You've got everything, no data loss. And then the other one automatically gets checked for you. Archive it. Yeah.
Right. It's very, very good. It's very, very good. Yeah. I mean, it's, especially doing annuals, and we're doing a lot of passes on the long-term decision list. It's been a great tool for keeping things from being crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll get rid of that one, we'll archive those, and we'll go back to our slides. All right, and then next one is, oh, I should have stayed over there, sending issues to another team and maintaining visibility. So this is a great one, thinking about departmental rollouts, cascading 90 down throughout the organization. Once you've got multiple teams running level 10 meetings, there previously was not a great way to send issues, right? As soon as you change the team, it disappears and you can no longer see it. Now you actually have the feature through that same right click, send an issue, to send the issue to whatever team you want, and it will actually pop up at the top of your issues list so that you can see how the other team is working on it. So I'll go back to issues and show you how that works. So we'll create a new one. And as we right click, actually, sorry, I have to open it up. And, oh, do we not have another team in here? We don't have my send button.
Or it may just be are you not in other teams?
I may not be, darn, bad example. But if I was part of multiple teams, I would have or if there were multiple teams, we would have the ability to right click, and it looks like a little paper airplane. And it's the ability to send that issue up or down. So I think a really good use case for this is at a team or departmental level. Let's say you've worked through an issue, but you really need the leadership team to sign off on a budget or something. You can send that up to the leadership team, put in all of your notes, and then they'll receive it. It'll show up that it came from your department, and they can IDS on it, say approved, and send it back to you guys. And so then you'll have all of the notes from the leadership team very clearly sectioned out. So really great feature, especially once your clients have cascaded a little bit down throughout their organization.
I'm going to send you an issue here. You weren't in the coach office hours team for some reason, Michelle.
Oh gosh. Well, thanks for fixing that. All right.
All right.
And then the last one is some scorecard updates. So there is now the ability to forecast. You can click into any one of your measurables and set future goals, and it will automatically adjust week over week, month over month for you. And we've also got trailing scorecards. So that actually came out of our own internal need to report differently on our numbers. Showing a 4-week snapshot wasn't as powerful as actually seeing a rolling 4-week average or a rolling 13-week average. So those are now optional scorecards that you can push any of your weekly measurables to. So I will pop over there real quick and show you what that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, let's be clear. I mean, this is, a more financially accurate, especially if you've got really noisy stuff. So that rolling 4 and rolling 13 week or trailing 4, 13-week aggregation can really take some of the noise out if you're trying to look for trends across the data. And it's just more right. Rolling 4 makes more sense than monthly, because months are all different lengths. So
Yeah, absolutely. So on this trailing 4 and trailing 13-week scorecard, you can add in any of your weekly measurables. So pulling in from an existing scorecard, or you can even generate them here, or pull in all from your scorecard. So you can decide what gets pushed over here, whether it's looking at 4 or 13 weeks. So we'll just add the one we just created. We'll just pick one. And that will aggregate for us into a rolling 4-week average. But a really nice way to manage your scorecard measurables, exactly to Jim's point. 4 weeks isn't generally as good of a measurement as, or I'm sorry, 1 month isn't as good of a measurement as a rolling 4-week period. And so this will populate all of your historical data.
And it's right. I mean, I think, and it's as clients, you know, that when they don't have scorecards when you start out, any scorecard set feels like it's progress. But if you want to keep progressing, you're going to have better and better ways of looking at your data. They're going to want more and having more options for how you look at your data, including have those monthly, quarterly, and annual views. It really helps people, you know, look at the right data and have the right measurables in front of them when they're having to make decisions. And just like we do at 90, when we have things that are over here in trailing 4, trailing 13, or monthly or quarterly, we just have a reminder in our weekly meetings to go on the 4th week of the month. We go look at those numbers, just to make sure you in the meeting, you're in a reminder that you have to go look at that stuff.
Yeah, that's a great call. And a nice way to do that too is with a standing headline, a headline that you just never check off. A quick reminder to take a look at your monthly or trailing scorecards.
Right.
All right. And I think that was all of our recent feature updates that I wanted to call out. Moving on to a couple of our beta features. These are only available to users that are in the beta program. So easy to join. We can set information around for that too. We'd love to have coaches in there as well. So if that's not something that you're part of, we can get you added. Just a quick understanding of what being a beta user means. It does mean that you get all of the new features, and you'll get little flags on all of the pages that have a beta feature, letting you know that it's still in progress, to please send your feedback, and know that it may not be perfect, that there's probably still bugs that we're figuring out. But you get them before everybody else. So you kind of get a sneak peek, but in exchange, you're letting us know what you find, what's working, what's not, and how we can make it better.
Yeah, and to be clear, I mean, it starts with alpha. So at the alpha stage where it isn't quite right yet. So you're not getting that stuff. At beta, this is really like we expect it to work, but we're looking for those edge cases, those where that we hadn't thought of in the design. So how are people going to use it that we hadn't really conceived? And that's really where that feedback tends to be like, all right, if you do this, then this, and you've got blue hair, it doesn't work. So we've got to do something about that. So it isn't like you're putting yourself at risk, but you do get access to these features. And we can turn it on and off by company, right, Michelle? Right, Michelle. So you don't have to put all your customers in it. It could just be yours, or you've got customers that are more into it. You could turn it on for them. Things like the light user, though, I've got a lot of clients looking to roll out, and they've been waiting for this. So I can imagine we might have a lot of people like, Jim, I really want that light user role, and we've got a lot of great material on what goes into that. But it really gives everyone a chance to get more people using the operating system and the software in a way that's appropriate and doesn't cost an arm and a leg.
Yeah, and a great use case for that light user is the quarterly conversation. So thinking about the people in your organization or your clients' organizations that maybe aren't running full EOS, they don't have rocks, they're not engaged in weekly meetings, but they still need to hold those quarterly conversations with their managers. This is a great option for those users, kind of lower tier down, or maybe you just haven't introduced EOS entirely or done the full rollout. Great opportunity to get them into the system. They do have access to some other features in there too, so they kind of get a sneak peek or a sort of a at a glance view of what you guys are doing in 90.
Well, and I think it's, I've got a bunch of clients that are in things like in restaurants. This would be your servers, probably not going to be part of a level 10 meeting, but they're going to be part of a daily stand-up. And they still get to collect some issues from there and have to-dos and whatnot. And you still want them to be able to know what the VTO is, know what the core values are and be able to respond to it. Same thing with manufacturing, construction, where you got a lot of people that are part of the organization. You want them to be engaged as possible, but they're never going to be part of a level 10 meeting. It just isn't part of what how they think about their role and the time span that they're working on. So it's a great option for those folks, and be able to keep everything in one place. Particularly that quarterly conversations. If you really, it's a great tool. For especially if you're staying pure, or add things on top of purity. That one-to-one meeting is a great way to start bringing people into the thought of how they operate within EOS or with 90.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's a great call. They do still have the ability to have independent to-dos, rocks, all of that. They're just not part of weekly meetings. Yeah, great call.
Yeah, and I got plenty of clients that do that. They at that lowest tier, they're talking about daily stand-ups. They're not doing the weekly meeting at all. And I think it's which is fine. It just and that for them, the light user is a great fit.
Yep. Awesome. So next is notes on the scorecard. Something I love. So essentially thinking about an Excel spreadsheet and adding comments. It's really the same concept. So why your numbers are down or up this week, but when you go back historically a year from now, you may not know why there was a dip. So adding in notes like somebody was out, or you changed a process or something like that, adding in those little notes, or maybe you want a big client, you want to put in the company name or something like that. So it allows you to add a little text, a little content to your scorecard. So that, if you are out or there's something historical later on that you want to go back to, it's very clear why those numbers were shifted.
So much of what I love about 90 is the ability to constantly be layering on more context. So you never have those moments where, what was that about? And, just really have the history baked into it. And so, all of your data in one place, and now data with notes, so you know exactly what was going on. Just the ability to annotations are an important part of keeping track of what goes on. So it's a great new feature. It's a small feature, but it's powerful.
Yeah, I love that one. And then the last one is Zapier. So this is currently in beta. I personally have not dabbled in it quite yet, but it is connection to creating issues, headlines, to-dos, all of these actions that automatically sync to other systems. So thinking about like your calendar or in the future, Slack, things like that, automating and making that connection. So these are some of the early features that we're beta testing right now, or early actions, I guess, and triggers. So we can send a little more information around about how to set up the Zapier if you do want to be part of that beta program.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you not aware what Zapier is, you've probably heard about APIs, or application programming interfaces, when one application can talk to another one. And really big applications, like we've already done, like you can log in with Google, or Microsoft to log into 90. That's like one of those first like API integrations that you might do. This is for all those other applications that are not something that's big enough and widely used enough that you're going to build a specialized application programming interface, or API, integrating one-to-one. Zapier is that middle ground. So lots and lots of applications, probably all the ones you use in most of the time, have an integration into Zapier. And now we're connected to Zapier. So you can really create what they call zaps. They take information from one application to the next. You'll need someone like Andrew's age to be able to go figure that out for you. But it's really a powerful way to make your application start working together. And it's one of those people always ask, Michelle, right, that, hey, I would like it if 90 was aware of blah application. And this is how we begin that story.
Yes, that was a much better explanation than mine. Yeah, and it's connecting all of your systems together, right? It's less places to go. It's feeding information from one to another. So streamlining as you roll out for sure.
Yeah, and Simon called out, it's a great scorecard integration feature. We're already working, I think, with so many of our clients are using, our users are using QuickBooks or something like that for basic data integrations. Because you can imagine where this goes to the point where we became a great aggregator of data from multiple systems, so you can look at it in one place, and it's very, very easy to start adding things together or dividing them together. So it's great. It's great work, and I'm very excited about it.
For sure. Okay, so that wraps up beta features. We'll go ahead and move over to IDS and take a look at some of the questions or issues that we're going to cover today. Oh, here, this was I made it as an issue, not a headline. Awesome. All right. Will the notes in the scorecard be linked to the measurable, i.e. the measurables used in multiple scorecards? Great question. And the answer is yes. So whenever you have a measurable across multiple scorecards, all data associated with that measurable is going to sync everywhere the measurable is present. So notes, details, description, anything inside, as well as comments are going to be present on all scorecards.
Yeah, and then you can imagine that's a great use case for it as well. I mean, like, so, hey, this is off. We see it in the departmental. Let's put a note on it so they don't have to ask about it. The leadership team meeting, they can click on it. It's got a note on it. Oh, I see. Never mind. Yeah, so we're just moving on. So save everybody a handful of breaths and issues being forwarded about.
Yeah. Nice. Is trailing 12 a good idea for monthly goals? Would this help remove seasonality?
It could. I mean, and that's really part of what we're trying to get to here is that the trailing 4 and trailing 13, in place of month and quarter, especially for, you can imagine a company like 90, where we're a SaaS company. There's lots of things at play here that would create, fluctuations in the data, but the aggregate of the trailing 13 is a more sustainable, like, okay, over the last quarter, it's probably going to suck up a lot of variabilities. And so just kind of flatten the curve a little bit, flatten all of the noise in it. So it won't necessarily take away all the seasonality. And I think that's one of those things you might want to put notes on. So if you've got a heavily seasonal approach to, like I'm here in Park City, Utah. There's some ski lifts over here. I imagine there's some measurables somewhere there that fluctuate greatly by the time of year. And hey, those are things you've got to know what to expect. And it's great to think about your measurables that way. It's not being just pure numbers, but it's percent of last year or something like that. We're not actually talking. Are we talking about calculations yet, Michelle? We aren't talking about that yet.
Not yet. That's still in alpha. So we're kind of internally playing around with those features. They exist, but not quite ready for clients.
Yeah, so we've heard that that's an issue, and I think that's making that easier for you to look at things in terms of how we compare to this week last year. I think that'll be even more powerful tool for that really seasonal type of cycles.
Great. Demo instances for coaches. What is the recommendation for setting up a demo company in 90? Would like to avoid showing a live customer owned instance, but without setting up a paid instance. Yeah, awesome question.
Yeah, so I mean, I think for Impact Architects, we have one that's just us coaches as integrators. I think that's a part of how we did it. But do we have another way, Michelle?
Yeah, so that's actually a really good workaround. I hadn't thought of that. So basically you have the whole team as implementer role, so it's a free account.
Right.
Genius. No, that's a great idea. The other option is if you'd go Jim's route, you would need to populate all the data and kind of keep it active and current. Otherwise, everything is, the scorecard measurables or all the data goes off the screen eventually. So we actually have an example account that we can add you to. We would do that in either Observer or Managee, one of the lowest levels, just so that you can kind of click through and not really do a whole lot, because there are a ton of coach users in there, but we do keep it pretty well maintained so that if you do go to Rocks, they're built out. You don't have to worry about scorecard measurables, things like that. So just throw your name in the chat. Let us know if that's a good solve for you. We can get you added. And basically it'll just show up in your top left-hand corner. It's literally called example account with like a generic company logo. But we can add you to that. And then that's a great thing. Just move to that company and you can kind of give a quick overview without showing any real data.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the things we've been doing quite a bit at Impact Architects is we've got multiple instances, right? So we've got some things we'll actually show our live VTO because we want to know them to know who we are. We're going to show our core values. We're going to show some elements that are part of that. So we show that live one. Then we use the demo instance that 90 gives us for showing some things. And then we actually will build out a new instance for them that shows them actually in the software. So they start to engage with it right away. They already feel like there's some forward progress. So, having multiple instances and being able to show how quickly you can move back and forth ends up being a benefit for that.
Yeah, that's a great call. And also, our example account is just going to be like very basic, generic. If there was something custom that you wanted to do, like a special meeting agenda or something, or editing anything in the account, then Jim's route of just having your own free account works. So just let us know which of those two options you prefer. We could walk you through the process.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have certainly lots of requests for vertically oriented demos as well. I mean, my good friend Chris Steiner being one of those people who ask for it all the time, because it does matter. I mean, and people start, it really makes it easy for them to recognize themselves in the software when you've got real things like that. As you can see, imagine though, it's really the hassle is keeping it up. So we're working on it. We're trying to get there. So we've got the right demo tools for to show people so they can see live software rather than having to show them pictures of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great call. Cool.
I still revert to screenshots sometimes. That's just, but then I'm old. Yeah.
One thing commitments, pros, cons of having them as headlines instead of short-term issues.
I like having them as headlines. I've been teaching all of my clients about the WIP, the work in progress, as something that stays there all the time. So, you recognize it right away. It's just, we're not going to get rid of this one. I also teach them how to do issues that are works in progress if we don't have enough information. But I keep it there. It's just WIP, one thing. We look at it every time. How's everyone doing on this? Any issue we want to bring it to, and we keep going. And just after a while, I think what my clients tell me, I know what from my own experience with 90, I know we don't always look at it. Sometimes we're busy and we don't do we look at one thing this week? No, but at least at the beginning, you start thinking about it, and it does change behavior. So I don't know if I think it's cleaner to put it there, and you're going to be more likely to put time into it than the issues list, because issues list can get long, Michelle.
Yeah, I totally agree. And internally, we've always had it in headlines. And I think you're spot on, making it that WIP, similar to like having a standing headline to look at the monthly measurables at a specific time. I think those are great calls. That I would recommend that myself.
If you got altering opinions, love to hear it. But that's where it landed.
Any plans on when app-based two-factor authentication becomes available to replace SMS? Oh,
yeah. So you're thinking like, we talked a little bit about this. So you're talking about like any of the ping and things like that that have much more robust features for this. I think here's the thing. Most of our clients are not big enterprises. So, I mean, I think when we look at what people really need short term, we keep coming up with, hey, as long if it got Google and Microsoft as logins, Microsoft's got a better and better suite about these things as well. So you can use their tools. Google has a similar thing that they're creating. So yeah, I mean, I think we're moving away from the SMS-based two-factor is definitely in the picture. As far as getting all the way to something like a ping, I don't know that we've seen enough ask for it yet. But Michelle, right? I mean, I think that's because I've got other applications that I've worked on that we did that, but we had real enterprise size clients, and is that the thing you're thinking of? I just type in the chat if I'm on the right track with the question. Yeah, I think you can do Microsoft or Google Authenticator at this point, Michelle. I think just let's find out about that. Come back to the team. But I think my understanding was that was part of what adding Google and Microsoft login included, the ability to create those things.
Yeah, I definitely actually want to know this for a couple of reasons, but I'll do some digging and get back to you. If Andrew, you can just make a note who asked that question for us. And while I'm here, now that I was added to some teams, you can see this is that ability to send issues. So thanks, Jim, for fixing that. But it would allow me to pick whatever team I need to send this issue to. And then it would basically pop up at the top. So we'll just send it to B2B sales so that you can see how it works. Issues sent to other teams. And then when the B2B sales team logs in and looks at their issues list, this will be at the top. So it's at the bottom for us, but it'll pop up at the top for them so that they can easily grab those issues that were sent. And it allows us to maintain that visibility. So as they're working through IDSing, capturing notes in here, we've got real-time view of how they're working through that. Just thought I would call that out. All right, then we've got built-in team building links. I'm guessing this is like during the annual, during team health components, probably. So
yeah, I mean, so I think it's certainly we want you to be able to add in anything you want. So we've reached out to other application developers to help them make their applications able to sit in the iframe that is our meetings. So there's that. But I don't know that we would publish automatic stuff. Michelle, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you're probably right. We could certainly like make some suggestions and things that we've done in the past, or some cool things that we've heard of from other coaches. Like, always happy to share that. But I think you're right that we'd probably always lean towards leaving it more open-ended for you to kind of custom tailor for your clients. But that's not to say we don't have some suggestions, or we could, poll some coaches and give you some ideas.
Yeah, one thing we're definitely going to be doing is, as like we've been doing a lot of work recently with helping companies roll out 90 to the rest of the organization. Obviously, we're well incented to do that. So I've actually got some materials that we'll be testing with coaches and with teams. It's like, hey, here's some materials to go help you roll that out, because we're not competing against any operating system that way. These are net new materials based on our experiences rolling out our tools. So I think we're going to continue to build out stuff that we think our coaches and our clients can use to enhance their sessions. So if you've got suggestions along those lines, we'd love to hear it about how to create modules like that, because obviously there's time in a quarterly, there's time in an annual for new tools and for new learning, and certainly in the annuals for coming up with more exercise people can do. But I think there's always a licensing issue in a lot of these conversations. Who really owns that exercise? And so we try to be very careful about that. We wouldn't want to step on anybody's IP toes.
Yeah. And the cool part about the meetings, just like you saw here, I mean, you can pull in anything. So whatever it is you want to embed or teach for team health, you've got full autonomy to make those edits into the agenda.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people drop culture index as a part of the meeting, and we're going to look at culture index, and that's where everybody's stuff is. So it just embeds that web interface right into the meeting, and you just go there, and we can click around inside that meeting.
EOS implementation auditor training. How do we get training on being an auditor of the EOS implementation, and what would next steps be?
It's a great question. There isn't, because obviously there is no pure methodology for EOS auditing, except for the self-implementer session where you go over the tools and you try to help people re-implement those, right? That's the pure teaching on this. I'd say we're not likely to come up with pure coaching methodologies, but we do have things. We are developing tool sets for implementing our tools, and and directives that, hey, as a coach coaching other companies on these tools, here's some stuff that you should ask people when you're looking through stuff. Not unlike the questions we ask when we're going through. Here's our core values. Are these still our core values? They still represent the culture? Are we hiring, firing, reviewing, and rewarding? So having a set of a checklist of things you might ask about something to see whether they're right, and to dig out issues. We will create materials like that. Hopefully that kind of answers the question. But I think being a designated auditor is probably not something that we would put time into, Michelle, because I think someone at EOS Worldwide would be upset about that. That's
Yeah, let us know if that helped. We can always take these conversations offline too, and schedule some one-on-one time. Go ahead and archive these. Thanks, Andrew, for filling them out.
Happy to help.
That looks like everything, and we've got 1 minute to spare. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for joining. I will send a follow-up email with a couple of those resources we called out. We will be doing these every month. You've probably noticed if you've joined in the past, they're still kind of moving around on the calendar, trying to figure out best times for everybody that wants to join. So
happy to hear your thoughts and feelings on that. Try to accommodate as many people as possible. Obviously, for those of you in Central European time, it's quite late at night. For other folks, hopefully it's the end of session day. It's going to be hard to find a perfect time, but we'd love to hear your suggestions.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Andrew. I'll include links to calendars too. So if you do need to sync up for more collaboration, questions, anything you need from us, just let us know. We'll be there.
Thanks, everybody. Good to
See
see you
you.
all.
Bye.